this is a funny thing with a Wisconsin judge. And this is hilarious. And this one, I thought it was a joke when I read the article about it and I found this, but it's a real thing. This really happened. Anyway, it's the Wisconsin Judicial Commission. And remember, judges have their own sets of rules. They have their own investigating bodies at the end of the day. The Judicial Commission oversees judges. Now, remember, she's still an attorney, so she's bound by the rules of professional conduct, but she has that separate thing on top of judicial rules. So she has two sets of rules to follow. This judge, the Honorable Ellen Burrs, is being alleged to have a complaint against her in the Supreme Court of the state of Wisconsin. And this is how they handle things with judges. So she's made issues, and she shall file and serve an answer within 45 days after service of the complaint. Okay, so what are the issues? Well, upon a probable finding that there's a probable cause finding a judge has engaged in misconduct, the commission files a complaint with the Supreme Court. And this is a judge who is a judge at Dane County Circuit Court, and she's a judge under Wisconsin law. She's going tubing, but this is hilarious here. So they found probable cause that she has violated Supreme Court rules to personally observe high standards of conduct, so the integrity and independence of the judiciary will be preserved. She is supposed to act at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. She is also supposed to treat those with whom they deal with in an official capacity with patience, dignity, and courtesy. And she to perform her duties without bias or prejudice. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, what did she do? Did she drop a hard R? No. But what did she do? So specific allegations. Incident 1. That means there's more than one incident, chat. So this is back in May 2019. There was a hearing in Dane County. It was the state versus Richard Harrison Jr. After previously making several requests for additional time to prepare for trial in his case, the defendant made an additional one, and the following exchange occurred on the record. And the court says, okay, the last trial date was October 2018, then it was rescheduled to now. And the reason it was scheduled 6 months later was to give to the defense every opportunity to look into anything they wanted to look into. And she said, I agree with the prosecutor that in all probability, this will turn out to be a ruse. And if it does, that if he is convicted at trial, this court will not forget that. Let's just make that abundantly clear. That's already a problem, I would argue. That's judge, if you grant it or grant it or deny it. It's not your time for commentary. You know, and she says, the reason why I'm requiring the state to take a position on the motion to reschedule, and that means to continue, is because it's really a gamble whether you want to put the child through a trial, and then if it's exculpatory information, that would have probably changed the outcome of the trial. That's how I think it has to be. But if it were that, you'd have put the child through yet another trial, which of course no one would want to do. And she says, I'm going to allow the reschedule. And she says, let me make this abundantly clear to you, Mr. Harrison. You're not playing that game anymore after this. It's not a look, I found another rabbit in the hat. Look, there might be something underneath this rug. When this trial is rescheduled, we're not playing that game. So play the game with other people you're with. Go to prison and talk to them about all the games you can play. We're done here. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable, chat. Not acceptable at all. The defendant says, yeah, your sarcasm is extremely clear. And she's saying, good, I thought it would be. That's why I'm saying it to you that way, because I thought you would relate to that. And he says, I don't. She says, I think you do. And he says, I don't. And the defense counsel's like, that's enough. That's not how you do it, Judge. You got to be professional. So they point out that she failed to treat litigants with patience, dignity, and courtesy. She has to act at all times in a manner that promotes confidence in the integrity and impartiality. And she isn't acting impartial. She's acting like a big bitch. And she has to observe high standards of conduct. You can't act like a bitch. You can't act catty. Sorry, you're not allowed to. So yeah, that's a problem. And I wonder what happened in this case. But now we get to incident 2. Incident 2. This one is hilarious. Guys, you're gonna put this in the I shit you not folder. This goes in there. This goes in there. So she was on another case in 2020, the State versus Noah Hodges, which was scheduled for jury selection and jury trial to take place in December of 2021. In her courtroom at the county courthouse, located in Dane County, which is where Madison is. Madison, Wisconsin. On the morning of the trial, the defendant did not appear for the scheduled proceeding, and Judge Burrs was told by the attorney that the defendant was at a hospital and had been admitted. I've had this happen once. I had a client who was in a massive diabetic emergency, and the hospital said they were not going to release him. And I'm like, I had to go to court. I'm like, he's not here, Judge. And he's, it happened like at 4 a.m. I got a text from him saying he's like, my blood sugar's out of control. Now, some people will make assumptions why that happened. But anyway, it happened. And I had to go into court and say, Your Honor, he's not here. He went to the hospital. He told me everything that happened. And then I had to be like, I didn't tell him to go. I told him he had to be here for trial. But in the meantime, if he goes to the hospital, take care of yourself, but you have to be here. So this does happen sometimes. So the judge directed a staff member to determine his location, and rather than issue a bench warrant or continue the case to a future date. So she had one of her staff members verify. And in my case, that happened too. The court staff learned that Hodges was at the American Center Emergency Room in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. After obtaining the location, the judge directed the bailiff, who was responsible for security of the courtroom, to leave the courthouse in order to arrest him. The judge was informed the bailiff would not be able to leave the courthouse to arrest the guy. The judge then tells everybody in the courtroom she would retrieve the guy from the hospital herself. And, I've heard judges make jokes before, and I think that would be kind of a funny joke. Like, well, I guess I'll go do it. Apparently, Judge Burrs was not joking. She was 100%. She was 100%. She was no cap. She was no cap about this, as the kids say. She was keeping it 100. Judge Burrs also stated that if something happened when she went to pick him up, they would hear about it on the news. So the judge instructed the defense attorney to accompany her and not to inform his client they were on their way to him. The district attorney was not present for this interaction. So that's an ex parte communication. Guys, I'm not shitting you. This is really happening. This is really happening. Yes. On God, Your Honor. On God. The judge drove from the courthouse in her personal vehicle with the attorney seated in the front passenger seat. The district attorney was not present in the judge's vehicle for this trip. I understand they're bringing that up because that's like an ex parte issue. But even if he was there, that really doesn't make this any better. This is really bad. Now, some of you are saying, why did the defense attorney go? I actually think that guy kind of did the right thing because he's like, I got to protect my client. This judge is out of their fucking mind. Somebody has to protect him. Somebody has to protect him. This is really bad. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. No, no. No, 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 no. Hodges' attorney was telling the judge this trip was a bad idea as the judge is to be the neutral decision maker. So it's like Back to the Future. He's like, Doc, you got to be the neutral decision maker, Doc. You can't arrest people, Doc. The judge told the defense attorney that if she truly thought they should turn around, they would. The defense attorney said they should turn around, and the judge turned her car around and returned to the courthouse. At the time the judge had turned around, she was headed northeast on Washington Avenue in Madison in the direction of the emergency room in Sun Prairie. Now, I didn't check this out before, but we need to check how far away were they going to have to go? Because it would have been funny. You're like riding in the car with the judge. You're like, are we going to turn on the music? What are we going to listen to? Like, hey, judge, do you have Sirius? Like, do you have XM? Like, I love the 90s on 9, or I like, whatever. Was the judge going to let you listen to stuff? Or like, Judge, are we going to stop and get like, can we get like some Tim Hortons or something? It's going to be a long drive. Let's see what the directions are here. Madison is Dane County, and it's only 24 minutes. It's only 19 miles away. And, it depends on which route you go. This could be a shorter route, but it looks like you might have to pay tolls. You could take the long way around, but it's only a 20-minute drive. So it wasn't like they were going to have to take a long trip. So anyway, she says, after returning to the courtroom, the judge recalled the case and stated, the bailiffs have refused to arrest the defendant. To leave the courthouse in order to do so, I'm ordering a body-only warrant. So the judge is supposed to treat people, including lawyers and staff and court officials and others, subject to her direction of control, with patience, dignity, and courtesy. Telling that attorney, get in the car, loser. We're going arrested people. It's like, I mean, that would be really awkward. I'd just be sitting there like holding my briefcase and everything, and just like in the front seat, like, what are we gonna do, Judge? Like, wow, you have a nice car. This judge money's paying off. Ooh, it's a Mercedes. Do you like it? She's also required to perform judicial duties without bias or prejudice. She has to act at all times to promote public integrity and impartiality in the judiciary. And she has the high standards of conduct, which she didn't stick to. So they point out that she violated multiple Supreme Court rules for judges, and therefore constitutes judicial misconduct. Yeah. So they want the chief judge of the Court of Appeals to select a 3-judge panel, and the panel make findings of fact, conclusions of law, and a recommendation for discipline. Now, they might look at this and say, you know what? These findings are unsubstantiated. They might say this is all bull. She might have her version of a Franks hearing and, gets it tossed. This is hilarious, though. Oh, my gosh. That is so crazy. I mean, I will say, chat, this is very funny, and it is also very weird. I will say this qualifies. This qualifies as funny and weird. Alex says, so the judge and the defense attorney are bounty hunting. Yeah, kind of. I don't know how you deal with that. I can't believe a judge was like, this is a good idea. This is a really good idea, chat.